So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything is good. Guys, so Floyd Mayweather in a post-fight press conference said Manny Pacquiao fights because he has to, whereas Floyd Mayweather fights because he wants to. I mean, he obviously said this in the past. And when Floyd says things like that, I think that's when a lot of fans get upset. Now, that video that had a lot of dislikes. So there's a lot of fans obviously not happy with what he had to say about that particular situation. Listen, my view about Floyd saying that, he's probably right in the sense that he fights because he wants to. Pacquiao fights because he has to. And let me break it down. Let me break this down for you. Pacquiao doesn't have to fight. He doesn't have to fight. But you know why Pacquiao needs to fight? Because Pacquiao wants to help his people. Pacquiao wants to become prime minister or president. You should say, I think they say president in the Philippines. We say prime minister here in the UK. When you're trying to build a political party or whatever, that costs a lot of money. So yeah, Pacquiao does need to fight because of that. Maybe he wants to help his people, wants to help the Philippines. He gives a lot of money away, does a lot of charity work, Manny Pacquiao. And obviously, like I just said to you, when you want to build a political party, it costs money. It costs money. You know, these things aren't cheap. These don't just happen. It takes a lot of money. So yeah, from that sense, Pacquiao does need to fight because of that. I don't think people realize how much money it takes. You know, when you're building your party, it costs a lot of money. So yeah, Pacquiao does need the money because of those reasons. But if Pacquiao didn't have any responsibility, if Pacquiao just, you know, didn't need to help his people, didn't need to become a president, Pacquiao wouldn't need the money. Pacquiao would be rich. He'd be loaded. He'd be living life. He wouldn't need to fight. He wouldn't need to fight. Pacquiao's fighting because he needs to, because of those reasons that I just mentioned, because he has responsibilities. Whereas, not to say Floyd doesn't have responsibilities, but Floyd is different in the sense that Floyd isn't looking to become a prime minister or a president, or Floyd isn't looking, you know, like, yeah, Floyd helps. He does charity work as well. He helps people as well. And that side of Floyd doesn't get shown. He does do that. But Pacquiao and Floyd have two different goals right now. Like I said, Pacquiao's heavily involved in politics in the Philippines. Floyd's not. You know, Floyd's just a normal guy that's living his life, that's enjoying, you know, the fruit of his labor, enjoying himself. Whereas Pacquiao, like I said, is looking to, after boxing, is looking to become a president, is looking to become, you know, the leader in the Philippines, which I don't know whether he has a chance. I don't know, because I don't know this political situation. I don't know the political party situation in the Philippines. I don't know what it is. It's very, see, running a country is a lot different, you know, being loved and stuff like that. It's a lot different. It's very hard. It's very hard. Pacquiao would be following the footsteps of Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan, who was an icon cricketer, a big name, a superstar in his field, and he'd be following the footstep. I don't think any other sportsman apart from him, he's actually prime minister right now in Pakistan. Pacquiao would be following his footsteps. He was also adored by his people, just like Pacquiao was. But it's a lot hard. It's a lot harder, man. It's a lot harder, you know, doing that, because it's very difficult to run a country. It's not easy. So like I said, Pacquiao has some crazy goals and he has ambitions of, like I said, being, I don't even know if his ambition is to become a president. I don't know. I don't know whether he's just so happy being a senator. I don't know what his overall ambitions are. I don't know whether he's mentioned that he wants to become a president. But I think Floyd mentioning that, I think it's, I don't really think it needs to be mentioned, really. Saying that, you know, I fight because I have to, and he mentioned something about Top Rank and said that, well, when I was, you know, fighting under Bob Arum, I was getting 7 million, 6 million, 8 million. I was getting paid good money, but it wasn't the money that I wanted. He goes, when I became my own boss, that's when I started getting paid the 8 figures. And then obviously in recent years, 9 figures, where he was making 100 million plus. Where Mayweather said, I started making 8 figures every fight. And Floyd Mayweather, you have to say that he, in terms of being a businessman, he did manage to make a lot of money, you know. And Pacquiao didn't make the kind of money that Floyd Mayweather made, because Floyd Mayweather, like I said, the way he marketed his fights, he was a lot more outspoken. I also think the fact that Floyd was undefeated, I think, played into his hands, because a lot of people that didn't like Floyd Mayweather watched to see him lose. And I think Floyd took advantage of his, obviously, talent and ability, where the fact that he believed in himself and he knew that I'm not going to be beat. And he used the fact that he's never been beaten, to really, in my opinion, maximize his revenue. Because I think a lot of people were actually, towards the back end of his career, were just watching to see if somebody could beat him. And now Floyd Mayweather's become so big where he could fight exhibitions and make a lot of money. So he's just put himself into that. You have to say that he's played it brilliantly. He's put himself in that position where he can now fight whoever and make a lot of money, because Floyd Mayweather has that kind of star appeal. He has that stardom. He's a superstar. So he can fight whoever. Like, he fought Conor McGregor and made his highest payday, in boxing. Like, he hadn't made, against Conor McGregor, I think he made 350 or 400 million. That was his highest payday, which is insane. The fact that he would fight a guy that's not even a non-boxer, a fighter that wasn't even a boxer, was an MMA fighter, and got his highest payday. And we all know that Floyd Mayweather, prior to the Conor McGregor fight, had already made a lot of money. He had already, broke records when it came to, the highest paydays and stuff. So you've got to give credit to Floyd Mayweather. But I just think that when he says stuff about Pacquiao, I just think, that's uncalled for. Because like I said, Pacquiao may need to fight. He may be right. But it's not because he needs the money, because he's broke. Because he has big ambitions of what he wants to do. Pacquiao was just sitting on the side. I'm pretty sure Pacquiao has investments, and Pacquiao has businesses on the side where he's making a lot of money. I'm pretty sure the man's made probably over 4 or 5, like the Floyd Mayweather fight alone made him probably 150 million. Pacquiao's probably made probably worth about $350 million as well. So you can't say that he's fighting because he needs to fight. And Pacquiao, like I said, didn't become his own boss. He was under Top Rank for majority of his career. So you have to say that there was a cap on how much he can earn. When Floyd became his own boss, he was making crazy amount of money. But that was because he was his own boss. Even though Al Heyman was promoting was his manager, etc., he was guiding him, Floyd Mayweather earned a lot of money under Al Heyman and the PBC banner, because he was essentially his own boss. And I wouldn't be surprised if he had a partnership with Heyman. I don't know what the situation was, but under Heyman he really made a lot of money. I think Top Rank took Floyd Mayweather as far as he could go, but I think in order for Floyd to really make that mega money, he had to leave Top Rank, and he did, and he made a huge amount of money. Not to say, listen, Top Rank were paying Floyd Mayweather a lot of money. The money that he was making, 7-8 million, is a lot of money, man. That's not a joke. That's a lot of money. But it's kind of like capped. What Floyd Mayweather is saying is that he took himself to another level, whereas Manny Pacquiao probably made a little bit more than 7-8 million, probably made 20 million, but it was capped. He never made the crazy amount of money until he fought Floyd Mayweather. Pacquiao. Do you understand where I'm going with this? That Pacquiao is now his own boss, and he probably can make a lot of money, because now he's his own boss. But for majority of his career, Pacquiao was happy with staying with Top Rank, and Top Rank doing his fights. Maybe he didn't want the headache of doing things himself, and he just let Bob Arum do it. But then eventually now he broke free, and now he's probably making more money, who knows, than he was under Top Rank. But Pacquiao's done it very late in his career. Pacquiao could have probably 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. But maybe, like I said, he didn't want the stress. He was happy with what he was getting paid. And maybe when he looks at that in hindsight, maybe Pacquiao could have broke free earlier and made a lot more money, because Pacquiao was a global star as well. Not as big as Floyd, but Pacquiao became a huge star as well in his own right. But I just think he was content with what he was doing and under Bob Arum. But yeah, I think both guys had different. Both guys had, Floyd for me was somebody that he got off of basically breaking records, doing crazy number on the gate, breaking financial records. I think Floyd got off of that, whereas Pacquiao, I don't really think cared. Pacquiao was more fighting the best, doing crazy things like fighting Errol Spence at the age of 42. I think that's what kind of motivates Pacquiao, rather than obviously the money. Obviously, I'm not saying he doesn't want to be paid. Of course, everyone's motivated by the money, but I don't think that was Manny Pacquiao's sole motivation. I think he was just blessed that he was in a position where he was making multi-millions. But I think after a certain point where I think for Pacquiao, it became more about legacy, where he wanted to prove that, he's the best ever and he's great, and he just wanted to enhance his legacy. Whereas Floyd, it became, about breaking records, making crazy amount of money purse-wise, breaking those records, breaking his own records. Whereas I think Pacquiao was more driven by legacy, fighting the best, not caring who he fights, just wanting to, go up 8 division world champion. He just wanted to do record-breaking things from a legacy point of view, whereas Floyd became more of a guy, although Floyd did great things as a boxer and had obviously got one of the greatest fighters ever. I think Floyd became more of a guy that wanted to break records financially. And at the end of the day, what Floyd says is perfectly right, that you can't eat legacy. However, you can eat off currency. And he's spot on. You can't disagree with that statement, right? I know you cannot eat legacy. Now, legacy, at the end of the day, when you're gone, people won't, the money stays and all of that stays here. People remember your legacy. But you can't say Floyd Mayweather hasn't got a bad legacy. He beat everybody, undefeated, fought most of the top guys in his era. For me, that's a great legacy. And then he's left the sport with all his faculties, made a shed load of money. What more do you want? Pacquiao, although he's not as fresh as Floyd, I think he's taken a lot more punishment. He's obviously been knocked out a couple of times. However, I feel like, for me personally, I think Pacquiao's legacy now is looking unbelievable, and I personally think his legacy is better than Floyd's. And if he was to beat Errol Spence, I think there's no doubt. I think some people would say already Pacquiao's legacy by beating Thurman already surpasses Floyd. But if he was to beat Errol Spence, you're looking at a guy that you could arguably say is the best ever. And that's where Pacquiao's now, that's where he's, punching to. He's going up to that kind of level. Pacquiao, for me, is legacy driven. It's not all about the money for him. I think money is definitely an important part, but it's not everything. He's more, I think now Pacquiao, by doing what he's done by fighting Errol Spence, I think it's legacy driven. Now, people may say also that the Errol Spence fight is probably the biggest fight financially for him right now. Possibly, who knows? But I definitely think that a McGregor fight would have made him a lot of money. But I don't think these exhibitions, these type of fights are for Manny. I don't think it'd suit him. I don't think it'd suit Manny Pacquiao, fighting a McGregor, fighting a Logan Paul, fighting guys like that. I just don't think... I think Floyd can sell it because Floyd's a talker, whereas Pacquiao's not really a talker. He doesn't really talk smack. He's more of a guy that goes in and does his job. That's why I'm not sure what exhibitions and that would suit Manny Pacquiao, if I'm honest. But, he was very close to fighting McGregor. If McGregor hadn't lost to Dustin Poirier, who knows, that exhibition might have come off. So, yeah, I personally think that is great to see. I wouldn't mind Pacquiao doing exhibitions if he was to retire after Spence. Wouldn't mind it. I would love to see. I'd watch it. Just like I watch Floyd, because, like I said, both these guys are two of the greatest ever. And just to see him grace the ring against anybody is just a great thing. But I don't think Pacquiao would do that. I just don't think it would suit him the way the fighter that he's been throughout the years. I just don't think something like that would suit him. I think with Floyd it's different because I just think he's able to sell these type of things, and I think a lot of people would tune in. I don't think Pacquiao would do something like that, but who knows? Maybe, you know, the fact that he'd be, if once he finishes his boxing career, who knows? He might want to do some exhibitions if some people throw huge money at him. Who knows? He may do some exhibitions, but I reckon if Pacquiao was to do exhibitions, it would be against former fighters, like it'd be against like Morales or Barrero, stuff like that. I don't think it'd be against like a YouTuber or maybe against someone like a McGregor, someone, who knows, but I definitely think he'd do it against former fighters. I think something like a Marquez. I would love to see Pacquiao fight Marquez. 5th fight. That would be a huge attraction. That'd be a massive fight. You know, so yeah. Leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think about what Floyd had to say, that Pacquiao fights because he has to, I fight because I want to. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.